We'll be sharing a few pictures from our trip to Poland here. And as I go through a few times, I'll have some of the youth come up and share a little bit more on what we experienced. So we left last Friday, or I forget what day it was, but it was a week and a half ago. And this is the first picture we have here. This is after we cleared security at JFK. We flew out of New York. This picture here is after we landed in London. We had about an 8-hour flight, and this was when we were catching our connecting flight to Warsaw. The picture on the left there, we are on a shuttle out to our plane that was going to take us to Warsaw. And then the picture on the right is our first sights of Poland from the plane. So we arrived in Poland on Saturday evening, so it was almost a day of traveling to get over there. This is where we stayed, our lodging. It was a place called Gustav and Maria, or that's who ran the place. It's like a resort center. It's kind of geared, has some history with like the Jewish history, so it's kind of cool. But anyway, that's where we were able to stay. It was a very nice place. Here's some more pictures. The picture on the right there is the front entrance, what we would see every time we came home to our place there. So we got there Saturday evening, like I said. Sunday morning we went to church. If you remember summer Bible school, we did that last summer. We did the project for AIM. I don't know if you guys remember that. This is the same mission that helped us with like the logistics of our trip. And so we went to their church on Sunday. On the left there, we're walking to the train station. It's about a mile walk from Gustav's to the train station. It felt like an hour. It was a long walk. But yeah, it was a mile from there to the train station. And then the second picture there is the church. That's us just arriving there. And then the picture on the right is during the church service. Jaden Kilmer, if you guys know Sheldon Kilmer from Living Water, it's his brother. So he was preaching, and then the person on the right there, his name was Adam. He was translating it into Polish. It was spoken in English, which was good for us, and then it was translated into Polish. So Mia's going to come now and share a little more on our church service experience. You can come here.
So at first, the thought of going to church the minute after we get there, it felt a little bit overwhelming, like we're really tired. But this experience taught us many lessons that we needed for the upcoming week. Started off with following Mark to the train station, and we soon learned what the Polish walk was. Speed walking it's a mode of transportation, and that's basically what we did to get everywhere. The service in general was not too different, except for like the language barrier and the translator. He's preached in English, and then they translated to Polish. And I found that the message was very topical, or like we talked a lot about the story of, he was speaking about Jacob and how God touched his leg, and they talked a lot more about the story than like applying it as much as what I thought. And what I learned later is that a lot of the Polish people were first generation, so they were hearing the stories for like the first time, more or less, and so they were discussing the story more as like they're just learning it. I found that was interesting. And the singing was such a blessing. We sang some verses in Polish and in English, and we sang songs like Living Hope and other songs like that, and singing them in Polish was it was so cool. It felt like we were getting a little taste of heaven. And after the service, we learned another lesson. As many of us were backed into corners, we learned that Polish people tend to speak right up against you. And they aren't being rude, they just like to talk right to you. So many of us who were up against the were like, okay, and they were right up against us, but we learned that. And yeah, Sunday in general was a highlight for me.
All right, thank you, Mia. I mentioned that the guy preaching there was Jaden Kilmer. He was one of the guys from AIM, and on the middle picture there, it's me on the left, and the guy on the right is Mark Kaufman. He was with us a lot during the week, and they were both great. They helped us out a lot during our trip. So this is a picture of the girls back at Gustav's. Sunday evening, this is also at Gustav's. There was a lot of it was a pretty big place. This was a soccer field. There was a lot of things to do there. There was also, Gustav's place was pretty big, and so we had the one part of the resort, or the place there, and also there was another children's music camp that was there. So this is Sunday evening. We were able to play some soccer with them. So this is a picture of the orphanage that we went to. So we were at the orphanage near Warsaw. It's called OSA, from Monday through Wednesday. So that was the majority of our trip, it felt like, was here at the orphanage. And so we were able to spend time with the kids there for 3 days. At the beginning, or before the war started, there was probably, I heard there was like 1,000 kids living here. But after the war started, things kind of got shuffled around, and when we came, there was about 300 children. It felt like a lot, but it was not near what it was before the war started. So with our time with the children, we pretty much just did a bunch of different stuff. The picture on the left there, I believe they are making bracelets. That was a big hit on Monday. In the middle there, I think they're coloring a picture. And then on the far right, some of the girls had done balloon animals and balloon art, which was a big hit as well. So I think we arrived at the orphanage around lunchtime on Monday and left around 5 or 6. So we spent about 6 hours at the orphanage that day. Here's some more pictures of them doing the balloon art. There's Bradley with some of the boys he was playing with. I believe Ellie's helping the kids make some bracelets there. There, Julia is braiding one of the girls' hair. We had like a hairstyling station where the kids could come and get their hair braided or spiked or something cool like that. So there Liddy's going on a walk with the girl in the middle of the picture, and Megan's playing with a girl with their play balloon swords there. There's some of our group playing soccer or football with the children. There was often a game of that going when we were at the orphanage. They enjoyed that. This was the end of the day Monday, as we're heading back to our bus. The kids didn't really want to let us leave. They were always following us out, it felt like. But it was good. I think we all enjoyed it. There's a picture with some of the youth and a few of the kids that about before we left on Monday. And the picture on the left there is about 20 minutes after we left the orphanage. I think everyone is sleeping except for Tyler. And then on Monday evening, we went out for supper and to a pizza place. And the guy on the far right there, he was our bus driver or van driver for the 3 days that we needed to go back and forth to the orphanage. On Tuesday, it was a little bit different. We helped out, or we kind of observed an organization called LifeSong. We helped out a little bit and just kind of participated in what they were doing. They had like a sports day or like a competition day. So I believe on the left there, we're kind of doing, at the beginning of the day, we kind of walked around a pond just to start things off. They had like a dance competition in the middle there. On the right there, they had this competition that they were doing. And yes, our youth participated. This is also them doing their competition with the dancing. So throughout the day, we were able to just hang out with the kids. Some of the kids that we met on Monday, we were able to spend time with again, building Legos and just hanging out with them. There, Bradley and Tyler are putting a beat down on some kids in chess. And I believe they're playing Legos on the far right there. Some more Lego playing. Then at the end of the day on Tuesday, they had like an awards competition where all the ones that won something got a certificate or like a medal. So we were able to observe that and help out a little bit as well. There's a group up front. And there's some of the kids with their medals and certificates for things that they won during the sports competition. And this is 20 minutes after leaving. This, this is Wednesday. This was our last day at the orphanage. Yeah, this was, I believe they were doing face painting and also a ring toss with lollipops. Here's a closer up picture. On the left was when we first arrived at the orphanage on Wednesday, and by then we all kind of had the kids knew us, and they would just flock around the vehicle as we got out. I believe in the middle picture there, they're doing some face painting, and on the far right, they're doing a ring toss with lollipops. Some more face painting there. They did very well with face painting. The youth that were doing that had some very good skills. Some more hair braiding there, and handing out lollipops. Dad, Mom, and Tyler played many hours of Foursquare with the kids on Wednesday, and also we did some jump roping with them. Some more jump roping, and more Foursquare. There's Tyler taking a walk with one of the kids, and a group game that was happening. This was nearing the time before we had to leave on Wednesday. And this was when we were finally trying to leave. It took a while to leave on Wednesday. The kids just flocked around the van, could hardly get away, but it was a good experience. Now Rachel's going to come and share a little more, or a highlight she had.
So when we were in Poland, 3 of our days we spent at the orphanage. We spent time just playing games with them and just giving them attention. They would always be so happy when we came, and they would come up and just give you hugs. Even though we couldn't speak their language, you could still communicate by just using signs and stuff. You had to be careful what words you used, because it could mean something totally different in their language, and I think Mia learned the hard way. Their faces would just light up when you'd handed them a balloon or a piece of candy. At the time, they were happy, but I'm sure deep down they were sad and lonely. Some of them went through so much already, and at such a young age. It made me think of where all these children would go and who they would become if they don't have anyone to tell them about Jesus. We have so much to be thankful for. We are very blessed people. God has given us everything that we need, so we shouldn't take anything for granted.
Thank you, Rachel. So that was the end of the day on Wednesday, and Thursday we were able to help out at a place called the Sunflower Camp. It was in Warsaw. So this was at the beginning of the day. We kind of all got into a circle and got to meet each other. We got to play with some of the children from the Sunflower Camp. There was about 40 children that were at this camp, and they all had they were all impacted by the war somehow. Either one of their parents or brothers or cousins or someone was fighting in the war or back in Ukraine, and so their moms and the children were in Poland, and this was a camp for those children. So that's kind of how we got to be involved there. We had a contact, and we were able to help out there for a day. So here we were kind of playing a game with a few of them on the river that runs through Warsaw. Just interacting with some of the children. So we were at a ropes course for the day, and some of the youth were able to go through the ropes course with some of the children. So that was a cool experience. They're not near as concerned about safety in Poland, I found out. Like, there was 0 people helping out with hooking them up and stuff, but no one got hurt, so it's all good. They were about to go through the ropes course there. Here a few of them are. Then after we got through the ropes course, we were able to just play with the children, just hang out with them, play games with them. Playing some more games with the children. And then after we spent some time at the ropes course, it was kind of raining that day, so we were able to go back to the Sunflower Camp. They have like a school building where they like hang out most of the time, so we were able to walk back from this camp to their school building with them. So that's on our walk back. There we're on our walk back, and also, yeah, just with the children there. This is a group picture of everyone. In the background is some kind of important building, I forget what it was, but this was about before we arrived at their school. The person on the far right there was kind of the man in charge. He was quite the guy. This is a picture of our group at their school. We were able to go through it and hang out with the children there. With the picture on the left is us continuing to walk back to the school. In the middle is the picture of their school. I believe they were borrowing it from, I forget exactly what it was, but it was a pretty nice building that they were able to use for their summer camp. And the picture on the right is, it was after we left the Sunflower Camp heading out to supper. They were playing a game with the children right pretty much before we left. This is us heading home after our day in Warsaw on Thursday. The building on the right there, the tall one, is the Palace of Culture, and on Saturday we were able to go up in the building. You could go to the top and you could it was like an observatory up there. There's a group picture of us. There's the Palace of Culture again. On the far right there, we went out for ice cream after supper on Thursday. It's at the ice cream shop. Picture on the left there is that mile walk I was talking about from Gustavs to the train station. That's just leaving the train station. We had about a mile to go there yet. And on the right there, they were FaceTiming one of the kids they met at the orphanage, one of the children there, so it was a cool thing. On Friday, we did like a work day with the AIM team, so where we went on church on Sunday. The girls went back and painted the church building. On the left there, they're waiting at the train station to go into, it's about a 10-minute train ride from our train station to the train station in Minsk, where the church was located. There's some of the girls painting. Some more painting happening. More painting. The guys were able to split some wood that morning when the girls were painting. We helped out an older lady from the church split wood. On Friday afternoon, on the left there, both these pictures here, we were helping the AIM team. They send out a monthly newsletter, or not a newsletter, it's something from Christian Aid that they distribute throughout Poland. We were helping them package it in envelopes. The girls were packaging the envelopes. On the right there, us guys were labeling the envelopes. So I think I forgot to ask Julie to come up and share about her time on Thursday, so I'll get you to come up now.
Okay, so for Thursday, we went to a Sunflower Camp, and it was a program for Ukrainian kids. We did like zip lining and high ropes. We played a lot of games with them. Some of us found the zip lining more challenging than others. We played, we walked back with them to their school, and they showed us around. One of the main things that stuck out to me was the lady who was in charge. Her name was Anya, I believe. She expressed how much she appreciated us being there and how much she, just really appreciated us helping and being with the kids, and our willingness to help. I felt like it wasn't like that crazy much that we helped with, but it meant a lot to her that we were there. And another thing that I did think of that stuck out to me as well was how much the kids showed love. They expressed it just by giving us hugs and and it just impacted me to be more like expressive and just show how much you care about people, I guess.
Thank you, Julia. So back at Gustav's, the one lady that was doing most of our cooking, they taught us a Polish dance. And so this is not that dance, but there was another one that they taught us, and we were able to connect with them on that level, which is cool. On Friday evening, after helping the AIM team out, cutting wood and doing all that stuff I showed you pictures of, painting and stuff, we all went back to Gustav's and had a kielbasa roast, which is like a Polish sausage, kind of like a hot dog, but a little different. So that's some pictures from our time there. Roasted it like a hot dog, but I think it was a lot better. This is the sunset from that evening. I believe a lot of the girls and Teresa were out getting pictures of it. Another picture of the sunset at Gustav's there. So on Saturday, it was our sightseeing day in Warsaw. The picture on the left there is the train. We rode the train quite a bit. That was our main means of transportation. It rained a lot on Saturday morning, so you can see us there with umbrellas and running with our hoods up. But that was leaving our train station, heading into Warsaw. That was us in Warsaw. Again, it was raining there. On the picture on the far right, it was us in the elevator heading up to the Palace of Culture that I showed you a picture of earlier. We went up to the top and were able to look out over Warsaw. That's a picture from the top. Another angle from up top of the Palace of Culture. We split into two groups. I think our group was, or the group from Ryerson here was 17 people, our youth group. And so we split into two groups along with the AIM team. This is one of the groups going to get coffee. On the left is another, the group that Teresa and I are with, getting donuts. And on the right, we're continuing to walk through the rain. There's our group with our umbrellas. And there's the girls in the candy store. It was all, we were able to stop at this candy store where they made the candy right there. That was pretty neat. There's some pictures of Warsaw. That's the other group. They were getting, I'm guessing they got coffee there. This was lunch. Pierogies on the left there, the top of the left picture. That was a pretty common thing that the Polish people eat. And I'm not even sure what the bottom other dishes are there, but they were pretty good. And that's coffee on the right, maybe tea, I'm not sure. That's a picture of the restaurant we were at for lunch on Saturday. This is, I believe, the Palace. Is that what they were calling it? This was in Warsaw, in a part of the Warsaw called Old Town. It was destroyed during, I'm not sure which war, maybe World War II, and it was rebuilt to be like how it was originally. So it was a part of the Warsaw called Old Town. It was pretty neat. This was right on the outskirts of Old Town. There was some pretty nice gardens that were kind of in the area that the girls are in there. This is some of the girls at the top of the Palace of Culture. This is the Warsaw Uprising Memorial. I didn't really know a whole lot about the Warsaw Uprising until we went to Warsaw. Just really quick on what that is. During World War II, the Germans, I believe, were in control of Warsaw, and there was a spot in the center of Warsaw called the ghetto where they held all the Jews. And so the people of Warsaw were not a fan of that, obviously, and they kind of banded together, just as civilians and everyone, and kind of tried to overthrow the Germans and released and free the Jews that were being held in the ghetto. And it was called the Warsaw Uprising, and it was not successful. I think over 100,000 of the Polish people died in the Warsaw Uprising, but the Polish people hold on to the fact that they tried to save the Jews, and so there was a pretty neat memorial there. Part of our group was going to go to the Warsaw Uprising Museum, but it was pretty full. They were not able to get in, but we were able to see this memorial. This is one of the squares in Old Town. So some more buildings, I believe, in Old Town. This is a picture of the original, part of the original wall in Warsaw. I'm not sure from which time frame, but it was maybe restored, but it's the original wall. There's some more of our group in Old Town on Saturday on our sightseeing day. And some more of our group. This is Sunday morning. This is our last picture at Gustav's house. This is before we had to head off to the airport to leave. The picture on our left is the road, that mile-long road that I was talking about, that we walked many times. That's a picture of it. And in the middle there, we had to take our luggage, but we had to walk it a mile from Gustav's house to the train station, and part of the road was stone, so that, yeah, it was a good experience. Then on the far right, it's us waiting for the train to go to the airport. That's us with our luggage on about halfway to the train station, taking a break. That's us waiting at the airport in Warsaw, waiting to know which gate to go to. On the far left, that's a picture of Poland as we left. On the far right, that's after we realized we missed our flight to get back to. Our flight in Warsaw got delayed so much that we couldn't make our flight in London to get back. On the far left, that's a hotel that we were given. It was a pretty nice hotel. And the girls or the youth talked us youth leaders into going out into London. About an hour and a half, we could actually tour the city, and so we jumped on the opportunity after they convinced us. And that's us heading out. On the right, that's us in the train heading into London. As you can see on the right, they were really bummed that we had to stay an extra time, more time in London. There's a group picture of us after we got out of the train station. It's the iconic double-decker bus, and just a picture of London. We kind of had a goal in mind. We had, like I said, we had an hour and a half to be in London before we wanted to get back to the hotel, and we wanted to see Big Ben. And so Tyler was our tour guide, and we did a very fast walk through the city. There's some more pictures on our way to Big Ben. I'm not sure what building's on the left, but on the right, behind that building, there's the London Eye. I'm not sure what that building is. I'm sure some of them would know, but picture of London. I made it to Big Ben right at 9 o'clock to hear it chime. I believe that's the Buckingham Palace that we were able to see on the way back to the train station. It's a group picture by a telephone booth. And on the way back, we're not sure how, the majority of the group got business class seats, and so that's them very happy about that. This is Tyler, super smug. I took this picture on my way back to economy, so he was happy about that. And this is back in JFK, as we were waiting for our, we've had about 4 different flights coming back into JFK, so we had to wait a pretty long time, so that was them making the most of it. And yeah, we arrived back, I believe, Monday evening around 9 o'clock here at church. So I want to say thank you all for making this trip possible, supporting us in our fundraisers and stuff. It wouldn't have been possible without you guys pitching in. And yeah, I want to say thank you. So that's all I have. Zach.
Any questions for him?
Oh, yes.
Still up there.
Sue?
So that first orphanage you were at, that was not Ukrainian.
Yeah, it was actually all Ukrainian children. Yeah, I think it was Polish staff and mainly Ukrainian children that were there.
What was it before?
I'm not even sure what the majority, I'm not sure if it was a Polish orphanage or what, but yeah, I think they kind of cleared it out for Ukrainian children. That's the way I understood. So, I'm not sure on that either. I'm not sure if some of them, I believe some of them might have had families back in Ukraine that had just sent their children away because of the war, but I'm pretty sure some of them would have been orphans. They couldn't really speak their language, so they didn't know their whole stories, but yeah.
The second place you were at was much the same, just a different location.
Yeah, so those were not orphans. They had their families were, they had their moms at least, but it's a good chance all those children had someone fighting in the war back in Ukraine, some kind of connection. So yeah, but they were Ukrainian as well. Yep.
So AIM, I've read some of the newsletters that they were involved in helping getting housing for a lot of refugees. Did you hear a lot about that, or are you still involved in that? Is that still?
Yeah, so not quite as much. I believe when the war first started, it was, I mean, people were just piling into Poland, and so they were doing a lot with finding housing. But yeah, they still had some people they were finding housing for. I believe on Friday, Bradley and Tyler helped one of the families move in or move out. I'm not sure, but it's not quite as much. But yeah, the guy Mark that I made a reference to, that's kind of was his job to kind of follow up on the different families that they were helping with. So it's not quite as much. But yeah, when the war first started, that's a lot of what they were doing is just finding housing for them. So, yep. I didn't learn as much as the youth. A few words, thank you, and a couple other words, but.
How do you say thank you?
Yeah, and there's a few other words, but yeah. How do you say job? That's the word that had 2 meanings that we found out a little later. In Polish it meant poop, so. Yeah.